Hi, Robin with Oxy-Dry, and I'm at a house that I've been cleaning for quite a few years now. I guess I've been here half a dozen times maybe, and young couple, and I come every year, and they have a great big beautiful, where is he? There he is. Look at that guy. Look at that beautiful dog. That's Lobo. He's a white shepherd. He's going to come and say hello. Come on, Lobo. Come here. What a beautiful dog. Yes. Yeah. His head is as big as my little doggies. Well, look at that beautiful face. Yes. What a sweetheart. You better go to the other side of the house, though. Anyway. Yeah, he's obviously one of the reasons why I'm here. Plus, they have they have a baby and I think a 2-year-old. And this house is, well, I guess it was probably built in the 70s. Has a very 60s vibe with this design. That's, oh man, it goes over that direction like, it must be 100 feet over there, way back over there. I don't know, you can see the far wall way over there, past the lady over there. That's the kitchen over there. Big house. And there's a great big living room over to the right over here, which I'll be doing. And then another big family room over to the left of the kitchen, plus this whole wing of the house. The long hallway, and I did an office already, plus this master bedroom. And there's 3 other bedrooms as well to do. And then probably about 20 or so steps. So, the interesting thing is that I get a lot of these jobs, and it isn't, how do I say this? The way we work our pricing, and I was thinking about that as I was vacuuming, is we're by the square foot. So 59 cents a square foot. I don't have a problem with people knowing that, because that's, if you phoned us up and asked what's our price, well, that's what we're going to tell you. We charge everybody 59 cents a square foot. And we include sanitizing, deodorizing, and anti-allergen treatment, as well as a protector. Dry time is normally 30 to 60 minutes, and the carpets stay clean up to 3 times longer than any other method. And we've been doing this, we're now in our 29th year. But we didn't start off that way. In the beginning, when I first started, I wasn't really sure how well this was going to work, how successful I would be, and I started off at $15 a room, minimum 2 rooms. Yeah, that's right. That was 29 years ago, but yes, my minimum at that time was $30. Now, and in the beginning, I started off with a Clark FM13, which is a rotary machine. This is before Opie's ever came on the market, by the way. It was a 13-inch machine with a tank on it, and right from the very beginning, I started, because I had this idea about how I thought that this would work. That was I was going to, I believe the rotary had a tremendous potential, and I would shower feed primarily. And that was my idea. And at the time, other than ChemDry was around, of course, with their bonnet type system, which used the carbonation in the water, which was their marketing angle. And of course, there was Fabrizone, which their marketing angle was they would put ozone into the air with their machine as it cleaned. It was a rotary with a ozone generator on it, which actually made no difference as far as pumping it into the air, of course. And then rotostatic, which used the positive negative ion idea. But anyway, so I thought, well, there's other companies out there that are already kind of doing this type of method, but I felt that there was a great potential that it could be much better than it was. And as an independent operator, I wanted to, establish a business that using this rotary, which I thought was, I guess, undervalued, and I began 29 years ago with that, and at $15 a room. So, and of course, one of the reasons what I did that is because I wanted, as far as pricing goes, was I was wanting to generate the volume as quick as I could, and I didn't want people, if they got one of my flyers in their mailbox, to look at it and go, oh, well, the price is too high, or whatever, because I really wasn't sure. I really wasn't sure just how well this was going to work. And it really took me, probably a couple of years before I really began to get confident at it as I got better. And also at the time, there was very little options as far as cleaning products. They weren't very good, actually, most of them. And there was virtually no choice for pads. And it was a whole new idea as far as, because everybody was stuck in the notion that you got to have a truck mount. But I persisted, and that was, like I said, 29 years ago. But I did quickly, within 2 or 3 years, started moving away from that lowball pricing. I remember, I think I mentioned in the video recently where I was saying that one motel in particular that I did quite a bit, and going in there at $15 a room. I'd go in there for 3 or 4 rooms at a time, usually, sometimes even more. And I actually got a few of those motels, and that was in the Penticton, which is actually about an hour drive south of here. And Penticton, at least at that time, it had a lot of motels. It just was the way it worked out because, if you knew the geography of BC, you would know that the only way to go from BC to Alberta would be up through Manning Park and up into the Okanagan Valley, and that was why Penticton ended up being a major motel town, because it was just a natural place for people to stop on their way driving east. And anyway, and that changed when the Coquihalla Highway was put in, and then everybody could bypass Penticton, and Penticton's been kind of withering on the vine ever since. But anyway, so that was, as I say, 29 years ago, and I was I was swamped with work. What would happen is at the end of the day, I would come home and I would sit. We used an answering service back then, actually, and what they did is they would take the calls, and initially they would send them out to me right away. I'd respond right away, but then it got so that I was so overwhelmed with calls all day long, I finally decided, okay, just take down the name and the number. I'll tell them I'll call them back in the evening, which is what I did. So I'd go out, clean carpets all day. Then I'd come home at the end of the day, and I'd sit in the living room while Linda was making supper or whatever, and I would sit there for, often an hour, calling people and talking to them about the what we did, and giving them pricing, and etc. And because I remember I was getting like easily 10 or 12 calls in a day, often in the busy season anyway. And that went on for probably a few years. But then I began to realize that just how good the system was, and that pricing so low was basically sabotaging my business, really, because I had something that was better. I was included, and I began to, not initially, but pretty quickly I began to include deodorizing, and then eventually, pretty soon I was including protector and, all that, and And I realized that I needed to price according to the value that I was giving rather than simply price in order to, get the volume to such a high rate. And I realized that it wasn't necessary to have the high volume, but rather to have the to build the business wasn't about volume of work. It was about you do need a volume of work, of course, but more than anything, you actually need to be earning a living and doing it. And I mentioned something about this with a video I just posted yesterday, because I was thinking about the way the pricing is, and how actually I had gotten a coupon had come in the mail. Well, comes all the time, of a company that's been around in our area, well, even longer than me actually, and they're a steam cleaning, and they do the coupon advertising, and they're advertising $89 for 3 rooms or whatever, and I mentioned that, plus another company which basically was doing the same thing that had come and gone in our town, and how that this is not a reflection of the realities of the economy today, but rather this is kind of I think I mentioned kind of like 1980s pricing, and we have to move away from that. But as owner-operators, as an independent, what I decided and had learned to do was, the way to do it is, rather than try to compete, as it were, on the basis of price, I competed on the basis of a better value, and that isn't based on price. And of course, that meant that I went from doing a lot of move-outs and apartments and everything. I did a fair amount in the beginning, but I moved away from that as our pricing changed. The way we priced changed as I added to the service. We went from a price-based, more or less, like what everybody else is doing, to being more service-based marketing or value-based marketing. And that ended up resulting in less volume, but more dollars, profit-wise, at the end of the day. Because you can run around like a chicken with your head cut off and do a lot of work in the day. But that doesn't really build your business. That just keeps you busy. That's kind of like it's kind of like hand to mouth in a way, I guess. But this is a model that works well for us where we are. And of course, every market is going to be different, but I bet you'd find that almost every market will bear you going up in pricing, as long as you're able to give value for that price that you decide you're going to be putting yourself at. And your price needs to be based on what it actually costs you, not necessarily what others are willing to pay. But if your focus is on the move-out market, well, then you're almost certainly going to have to base your business on a price. But my thought, my feeling about this is that that's not the I don't think it makes a lot of sense with this type of method to do that, because if we indeed have a superior method to what others are using, and you include everything, if you were to do that, then you shouldn't be charging the same as others, well, unless you're going to be cutting corners, I guess. And but we don't do that. That's one of the things that I I learned to do pretty quickly, because in the beginning I actually didn't. I didn't even bother pre-vacuuming in the beginning because I was more concerned about the speed. I was worried about that, and I was afraid that I wouldn't have enough volume if I didn't book every job that I had. I remember that. It took me a couple of years before I got over that, I guess you could say, fear of not having enough work, and really had the confidence to raise the pricing and not be so concerned about not booking every single job. But I began to realize that I could go out and work all day long at really lowball prices, but at the end of the day, after you take a look at what it actually costs you to operate, you don't have anything left over, and you're better off. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, there was a guy in town who used a system almost identical to what I'm doing. He was using pads, and he was pretty well established. This was back when we had phone book ads and everything. And he was in there. He had a big ad there, and he was doing quite a bit of work. He actually did duct cleaning as well, and his pricing was almost exactly half of my pricing. And he was pretty busy, actually. And I know that in the end, he actually ended up closing his business down because he actually injured himself. And I actually went and I've talked to him a few times, even after the business closed down, and he was telling me how one of the problems that he had is he couldn't find employees, which is also always a problem, and then he found himself physically unable to do it. But here's the thing: his pricing. He was about half the price I was. If I was $50, he was $25. So he would have to do 2 times as many jobs to earn the same amount of money. And he still had the same expenses, or virtually the same expenses as what I did. So, and I was busy all the time. I had no lack of work, but I marketed differently. He did market price. He didn't include anything, which meant he was going to be, in most cases, trying to upsell in order to increase the bottom line. And that was one of the reasons, by the way, why he started doing duct cleaning as well. He bought one of those, I think it's called a Brush Pro, those red portable machines. I actually had him come and do my dryer vent. Actually, and interesting conversation with him, because he knew he was coming to do me. So he came along and his employee, and we had a bit of a chat then, and I was fine getting him to do my dryer vent, and I got to meet him, and we had a interesting conversation. But anyway, the thing is that he, in the end, after he actually didn't even sell the business. He just closed it down because nobody would buy it, I guess. But in the end, I remember after he had closed the business down, I actually, if I remember correctly, I think I actually went and cleaned his carpets, I believe. But anyway, I was talking, no, that's right, I cleaned his neighbor's carpets. And when I was leaving, I bumped into him outside, and we had a bit of a chat. And he was saying how he just found the business was just burning him out. And he was trying desperately to grow the business, and yes, he was a price point marketing a lot, but he found it just wasn't working for him, and he wasn't able to, as I say, able to get the employees to do the volume, because at the end of the day, the costs of operating were just too much for him, because he wasn't making enough profit, even though he had volume. But he would have to, like I say, do twice the jobs in a day that I would do to generate the same dollars, but it would still cost him more for the overhead, or Yes, of course it would. Yes, because he's doing more driving and using more supplies, etc., and then paying employees too. So, anyway, there's interesting thoughts. So, anyway, I'm gonna switch over to the vacuum and groom all this, and then head on down to the rest of the house. This is about half of the job, by the way. So I'll let you go. So thanks for watching. Have a good day. Oh, I guess I'll